Hey guys, welcome back to Vlogmas. Today is day 17, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. These days are going by really fast. I've been scuttling to get some Christmas present making done, buying all the other things I need to do, preparing to actually perform in front of little kids for a Christmas celebration, so that's really exciting. And I had this call yesterday. How do I preface this? So a year ago I was, by the way, trigger warning, if you have experience with stalking, harassment, anything like that, intimidation, whatever, maybe you don't watch this, or if you do watch, proceed with caution. So yeah, a year ago I was going out with a church group after school. So this was like in downtown Toronto, and this guy just starts walking next to me, and I think that he's with the church group. So I just, you know, I'm nice to him, talk to him. And at this point in my life, I was really hung up on trying to love the people God loves, and God loves everyone. So I was kind of like, even if I do feel uncomfortable in a situation, well, I still kind of have to love them. So that comes in later. Walking downtown, this guy just appears, starts talking to me. He seems kind of like he has a learning disability, because the way he talks and the things he says, just, I don't know, I just felt like that. So I was like, you know, just treating him like any other person, just making conversation. And then he started asking me like, oh, like if I have a car, can I take you out sometime? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Then he asked me like, let me take you on a date. Where do you live? Personal details like that. What's your number? Can I have your Facebook? Just things I wasn't comfortable with answering, since I really didn't know him at all. And so I just said like, I'm not comfortable giving out that information, and so I didn't. And then at some point I just felt really uncomfortable, because he was like, number one, standing really close to me as we walked, just putting a lot of, I don't know, attention on me, and just staring intently. And I was just like, and asking me all these personal questions, and I was just like feeling very uncomfortable. So I grabbed a girl to try to get her to be there with me and try to deviate his attention from me, but he like yelled at her like, go away. And obviously like like anyone in that situation, she got scared, right? And she just backed off, and she was like, okay. And that happened a few times with me trying to introduce other people, so that he wouldn't just be talking to me, but he every time would like yell at them. And so it was kind of like scary and kind of weird. So we finally get to the restaurant, and in the restaurant I grab like 5 girls to make a circle around me, and I'm just like, don't leave me, please. And because he couldn't get near me, he walked to different parts of the restaurant. So say if we were in this huddle, he walked to this part of the restaurant and he just stared. Then he made his way to this part and he just stared. This part, stared. Like he literally made like a circle around us. And I was obviously really uncomfortable. No one knew what to do. Finally we were like, let's just sit down then. And everyone's like talking and acting like this was all normal. So I was just like, okay, like maybe I'm just overreacting or something. So we go to sit down, and I carefully placed these girls so that every spot around me at the table was taken. So he comes along and he's like, I want to sit next to Sarah. And everyone's just like, there's a seat over there, you can sit there. And he was like, no, I want to sit next to Sarah. And so we just end up talking, you know, like all of us, like all the girls were just making conversation, and he just keeps standing like literally behind me, staring at the girl who's sitting in the seat beside me, until she gets so uncomfortable that she offers the seat up to him, even though, you know, that's not what I wanted. So I was like very like, why did you give your seat up for him? But I understand, like he was scary. And so he sits beside me, and then he starts to like lean in closer and like keep peppering me with questions, you know, what's your Facebook, can I take you out, where do you live, what's your address, let me pick you up, blah, 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 all these things. And I was just like, I just kept going to different conversations in order to phase him out, which he would like yell and stuff, but I was done. I was like, I need to talk to someone else. And so at the end of the night, well, actually not even the end of the night, like a while before everyone else left, I grabbed my friend's hand and I was like, can we leave, please? And she was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we leave the restaurant and he opens the door for us and we're like, okay, we're going, bye. And he starts asking me for my number again, and I'm like, I'm not gonna give that to you, sorry. And he's like, when will I see you again? And I was like, I don't know, maybe at the next like Christian group meeting, I don't know. And then I start walking away saying bye, and he starts to walk with us, and we're like, okay, we're leaving to go catch the subway now, we're going, bye. And then we start walking faster, he starts walking faster, we start full out running, and he's like running like behind us, like basically chasing us. And he runs, like he follows us for like 1-2 blocks until I think I heard shouts or something behind us. So it turns out later on, after the fact, I found out that people from the dinner had run after him, telling him to run back, like, don't chase them, don't follow them, come back here. So yeah, so we ran away, and we finally made it to the subway safe. And so the day after that, I was like, I mean, I didn't really know how to feel. I don't know, like, I guess I was still shocked, because I was just like, how did this happen? This was a Christian group. I thought we were all safe. And so I talked to some people from that group later, and it turns out that this guy had done this to a bunch of girls before. He had a type, like Asian girls were his type, and he had scared a lot of them, intimidated a lot of them, followed a lot of them on campus, and he was actually banned from my school's campus, but yet he still was allowed to be at that group. So I was pretty pissed over that. In my mind, I was like, if he's banned, why did you let him onto the premises? Why did you let him like hang out with us? And they said like they didn't realize that he was doing the same thing, that he was scaring people, until he started to actually chase us outside. So yeah, so after that I kind of didn't go to that group anymore, because like I didn't feel safe, right? So I didn't go back very much, which is okay. I still go to church, I still have my own group like where I live, just not downtown. And I was really scared after that, like walking through my campus downtown. I was just like what if he just shows up again and starts, like, I felt so trapped. Like I also feel I also am claustrophobic, so like I know it's not a tight room, but the feeling that you can't escape someone, and that like I guess like feeling like you have to be so polite, and like you don't want to be like, get away from me, you creep, because like, you know, you've been taught all your life that that's rude, but in that kind of circumstance, that's all you can really do. But like I'd never had experience having to do that, right? So I felt so trapped in that social situation with that guy. I felt so like, yeah, like I couldn't breathe, because he was right there and he was asking me all those questions I didn't want to answer, and it was just the worst. So thinking about this later, I told like my girlfriends, we went out for someone's birthday, and I told all my girlfriends, and I started to have a panic attack. And I've never had a panic attack before in my life. I've never ever I just heard about them, but like I started, you know, hyperventilating, I couldn't breathe, crying, felt trapped again. And oh, as I talk about it, I'm like remembering, and ooh, bad place. But luckily I had great girlfriends to like calm me down, speak truth into me, be like, say like, if you ever go back, like we will walk with you, kind of thing. After a lot of prayer, a lot of guidance, a lot of, yeah, just going to God and just reaffirming that he is my protector. Like at the end of the night, I wasn't, you know, molested or hurt in that way. I wasn't assaulted. I came out with all my limbs, you know, all intact. It was just my heart that had been like scared, right? And feeling suffocated, and like I couldn't trust people, but I got over that, right? So that was a year ago. And so I was on, this was like 2 weeks ago, I was on the top level of this building at school that's like a study building. So I was on the top level, and I was just doing work on my laptop at a table alone. And then suddenly I see someone like walk in front of my table, and they say hi, and I look up, and it's the same guy who harassed and chased me a year ago. So I see him. He says, hi, how are you? And instead of being straight up like, go away, which I totally should have, because that's the only way to speak to him that he will understand. I've been told all this information too. Instead of that, I was just like, I'm good, how are you? Feeling so uncomfortable, feeling so unsafe. And he said something mumbling. Like he said he felt suicidal. And I was like, oh, well, I hope you can get professional help with that. And I'm really busy right now, so I can't talk. And I went back to work, and he still lingered. He was like, will I ever see you again? And I was like, no, I'm really busy. which was like my version of putting my foot down. It was by saying, no, I'm really busy, and going to my laptop and just typing stuff, which I was busy, but I could have been like, get away from me, next time, I guess. But so yeah, so he tried to make conversation and engage me again, and I was just not having it. So he walked away, and I thought that would be okay. I thought he had learned his lesson. I thought he would go away completely. But when I looked up, I realized that he was doing the same thing he did a year ago, which was going to different parts of that room and just staring at me. And I felt like, again, so claustrophobic, like a caged animal, like you know, predator and prey. Predator circles the prey, or like they wait and they pounce. I felt like the prey in that moment. I felt like the predator was circling me, and I felt that same unsafe feeling, and I was just like, inside I was like, God, no, why is he here? So I quickly called one of my friends and was like, hey, can you join me on this floor? I feel really unsafe right now. So they joined me, but that still didn't deter him from walking around and staring, and I felt really uncomfortable. So I decided that we should change floors. Not just one floor down, but 2 floors down. So we go to this other floor, and I think everything's okay. So I look around, he's not there. I feel okay. I go to the washroom. I come out of the washroom. The first person I see is him. He's followed us down 2 floors down. This is not a coincidence. Like, he could have just gone to the next floor or stayed on that top floor, but no, he went 2 floors down until he saw me. And by this time when I see him, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, at this time, I was just like, I was not even scared anymore. I was just pissed, because I was just like, is this guy, like, does he not remember? So many people have told him to like stay away, like not do this to girls, to not intimidate them, and yet he's still doing it. I was so fed up. So I start walking down. There's all these stairs to go down to a different floor on this floor. It's very hard to explain, but they're just like steps going down. So I was just walking. I was at the bottommost part of this communal floor, and so I'm walking down the stairs to get to that area, and behind me I see him following me. He, like, if I'm walking down the stairs like this, he's literally like right here, right, following me down the stairs. And I was so pissed. He followed me all the way down to where I was sitting and where my stuff was, even though I had a friend there, even though I had clearly moved to get away from him. I was so dang pissed. I immediately grabbed my cell phone. I called I can say it. Yeah, I called virus and security, so my university. I called security, and I was just like, hey, this guy is following me. And I just like, I just told them the situation, and I was just so pissed. I just kept telling them all these details. But by the time that they sent the security officer up, not that they took that long, they maybe took, I'd say 10-15 minutes. The guy was gone. I don't know where he went. He probably heard me, because when I made that phone call, he was on the same, like, the same area as me, right? So I'm pretty sure he heard that I was calling security, and he knew to GTFO, right? So by the time they got to where I was, he wasn't there anymore. So it was kind of hard to describe him, especially because I had blocked him on Facebook like a year prior. After I realized who he was, he tried to add me on Facebook. I immediately blocked him. So it was kind of hard finding his details. I didn't really know his first or last name. I knew very little about him. And so it was very hard when I was telling the officers. I kind of felt like I had nothing to substantiate my claim against this person, and how do you describe a person, right? It's very hard. He had no distinguishable features, and his clothing was not like out of, like, it wasn't wacky. It was very hard. So while telling the officers, I kind of felt kind of hopeless. Like, how are they going to find this guy? And then all of a sudden, this other girl comes up. This another Asian girl comes up, and she says, she's like, hey, are you guys talking about this guy? And she describes the exact same guy that followed me. And we're like, yeah. And then she starts saying that he approached her as well on that top floor, and coincidentally, me and that girl both came down to the same floor to get away from him. So he approached her, and he said that he is feeling suicidal because Asian girls keep rejecting him, which in hindsight is so manipulative and disgusting. He knows that's not okay. Like, that's such a tactic to you know, get people to talk to you. Like, I hate that. I hate that so much. Don't you dare use something as like serious as suicide to get people to talk to you. That's disgusting. I hate it. Anyway, but he said that to her, and he started telling her, I don't know, a bunch of stuff about him, and trying to, you know, get her to get interested in him and go out with him or whatever. And she wasn't having it either, so she just like left him. But it was really helpful because she told the officers a lot more details, were able to describe him better so that they knew who he was. And apparently I think he was in their files and they were aware of this guy. And yeah, it just really helped having another person there. It substantiated my claim, number one, and also made me feel less alone. Yeah, it was really nice. Girls supporting girls, you know what I'm saying? And then later on, talking to the security officers later on, following up, just again, like reaffirming my story and telling them what I knew, I found out that this guy is indeed still banned from campus. He is known to them. He has done this to multiple girls, and yet after that fact, like, he's still allowed on campus. Like, he still walks around campus. He can go anywhere he wants to, basically. Like, security officers, I don't think they're gonna recognize him among, you know, thousands of students, and he can still walk wherever he chooses because no one, I guess, knows to call him out on it or whatever. And yeah, like, I felt so unsafe, even though I knew security, like, security told me anytime I see him, like, I can call them and they can walk him off campus. But, like, that's it. He just gets he gets a royal escort off campus. Like, that's how you treat people who intimidate, scare, harass women? Like, that's not okay. I was like, so, like, ugh. So the security officer actually told me that I should file a police report so that in the future, if anything worse were to occur, that the police could make a formal arrest, that they have his details on record. And I was kind of hesitant to make a police report because I feel like that's so official, a police report. Like, this guy hasn't touched me, he hasn't hurt me physically, just, you know, kind of emotionally. I'm just scared. And, you know, he's followed me and stuff. But I was like, that's really serious. What kind of constitutes important enough to be a police report? And the security officer told me, actually, it's very beneficial, not just on the side of the victim, but also the perpetrator. Because, so one, it's great that police, just in case in future something worse were to occur, if he ever got violent, if he ever, you know, hurt someone seriously, that the police would have, you know, a history to know about this guy and to know that he's done this before, he has a pattern, whatever. It's very helpful for the police. Number two, it's helpful for him, the perpetrator, because say he does have a history of, you know, mental illness or, yeah, something like that, then it shows the police that maybe he needs help, and it can actually, you know, give them the knowledge they need to help him seek professional help and those kinds of resources for his health. And so it's beneficial in that way. It's also beneficial because that gives the police the power to you know, like, protect you better. Like, instead of just a formal walk-off, like, they can arrest this guy, they can tell him that they could, you know, put charges against him, they can put him in jail, there's so many more things that the police can do to protect you, rather than just security, who can only just walk him off campus. They can't do anything, they can't put him behind bars, you know. So that's another benefit. And anything else? And what I learned later on after filing the police report is that I can also get a restraining order, which you can't really do, I think, with the security, whatever the security has on file. I don't think they can arrange that, but police can help you try to file a restraining order against a person, which I'm actually going to be looking into because I don't want this happening again. So yeah, so what happened when I filed a police report? So unfortunately, it took me like a year, right, until the second incident happened to do it. I wish I had done it when I first had that first interaction with him, because I think that, you know, it was fresh. It could have helped other people, like this other girl that told the security her story 2 weeks ago. She wouldn't have had that run-in if I had said something. But anyway, so when I did file the police report, what I did was I called the police, not their 911, but like another number, and I said, like, I'd like to file a police report. So they got my number, and then they called me back like 2 days later, and Just in case if anyone does do this, don't be surprised when you get called back from a caller that says no caller ID. For some reason, I think it was God. Like, I saw that on my phone. Usually I don't pick up no caller IDs because, like, that seems sketchy, right? There's like no caller ID, but for some reason I picked it up and immediately they were like, police on the line, and I was like, oh, okay, you're legit. So the police called me back and they basically got me to retell everything that happened. So what I told security, I told them all that past history, anything I could say about him. So like his approximate age, height, build, ethnicity, other factors that are prominent on him, things like that. And so yeah, I just told them my side of the story and they wrote it up. And so they said that in a few days I might or might not get a call back from a detective on the case who will help further it. So maybe they'll send police officers to go up to him and be like, hey, do not go near this girl or else we will press charges or arrest you. And he said usually harassers, once they're told that from police, they usually never harass a person again. But in the case that it does heighten or that he does do something else again, then police, you know, can make charges and stuff like that. Yeah, it was really, for me, it was number one, it was a lot. It was kind of emotionally draining to have to retell the story so many times, kind of like bringing up all those old feelings again, having that fear that maybe they wouldn't believe me, or maybe my case wouldn't be serious enough for them to take it seriously, and maybe that they would brush it off and be like, you know what, just like don't worry about it. Because, you know, that's a thing in our society, right? Like, women have been told so many times that their experiences don't matter. Like, remember #MeToo movement that like just happened this year? And so many, like, this nature, like assault, sexual harassment, these cases are so not black and white, and also people, I feel like police are more likely to brush it under the rug or whatever. So I had all this fear going into it, but I do feel like the police listened to my story, and that they did tell me that I do have a case for harassment, and that I just have to wait to see what the detective thinks or follow up with that, and I can exercise a restraining order, which I will look into, and maybe I'll make a video if I do get one. But yeah, that was my experience with being harassed, being chased, being followed by the same guy. I guess what I want to say to y'all is that if you are in a similar situation, that if you ever do find yourself, God forbid, if you ever do find yourself in a situation like mine, that number one, you run away, you get to a safe place as soon as you can. Okay, that's your like best bet. Just run away, get away as far and as fast as you can until you can, number two, call police. I really wish I had done this at the beginning, because, you know, I could have saved a lot of girls the headache and the fear and the shock and whatever else he's caused. Call the police. I know it seems scary. You probably don't even know what to say, but just call the police, whether it be 911, whether it be the non-emergency line, which I'm gonna search this up and put this on the screen, whether it be this number, or maybe if you're not comfortable with that just yet, calling security, whatever, campus security, building security, whatever you have, call them, let them know you're not, like, you can't handle this alone, you need the authorities. This is what they're here for too, like, they're here to protect you, right? And number four, man, call on the Lord. Call on the Lord. He is our great protector and great provider, and he sees it all, and he's sovereign. So I'm so thankful that God has been sovereign in all of these cases, because again, I was not touched, I was not hurt, I was not harmed. I was just, you know, intimidated, but, you know, it didn't shake me. Like, forever I'm not triggered by this, or I'm not, like, that's not who I am, right? And I think this really shows me, I guess, a different side of society. There are a lot of people who need help out there, right? And it also shows me a different side to security. Like, a lot of people aren't aware of what measures are at their disposal. Like, we as a society don't actually talk about what happens if you get into this kind of dangerous situation. All our moms say is, if you get to this dangerous situation, like, protect your vagina and like run or whatever. Like, they don't say smart practical things most times, so it's up to us to try to like figure it out, right? And I don't want you guys to have to figure it out after an experience. I want you guys to know this right now. So yeah, thank the Lord that he was sovereign, and call on the Lord. And I mean, like, yo, angels, so dang powerful, okay? You ask God to send you some protective angels and you get out of that situation. And then 5 is also tell friends, tell people, maybe tell a counselor, tell maybe a mentor, whoever you feel safe with, tell them, because these kinds of situations are scary, right? They are triggering at the time. They are so, I mean, they're so shocking too, right? You never think, like, when you hear these stories, you're never like, oh, like, that will not, you're the way that I thought was like, that would never happen to me. Like, who would dare like try to follow me or whatever? But no, it happened to me, because people are human beings and they do what they want. A lot of them don't have Jesus, right? And so yeah, the world is a scary place. But it helps to tell people. Like, I'm so happy that I had those girls there that first time last year, that they could, you know, calm me down and tell me like, you're gonna be okay, we're gonna be here for you. That helped so much in me just gaining my confidence back and gaining my sense of safety back. And this year, again, friends helped again, like, so much. I had some really awesome friends to stand by me, and some really good friends to pray for me, which I really, there's so much power in prayer too, guys. Like, when they pray for me, like, there's so much, the Holy Spirit calms me down so much. There's a great immense peace in my heart for that, and so I'm so grateful. And I'm sure, like, if it had been worse, I would have gotten professional counseling, like therapy, whatever I needed, because I mean, people are therapists and psychologists because we need people like them in the world. Like, that help is out there, and if you need it, don't ever feel ashamed or scared to take it. Like, take that help, be the best you can be, get to the best health that you can get to. Yeah, and don't be afraid afterwards to like block, cut off, and whatever other things in your life or people in your life that make you feel that same feeling of unsafety, just like not safe. Like, for example, sometimes people just DM me on Instagram that I don't even know, and remember we talked at the beginning of the video about me wanting to love those whom he loves, and God loves everyone, but not everyone is entitled to love from you. Like, you are not always the same person who needs to love everyone, and some people are not safe, and that's why boundaries, God created boundaries for a reason. And so some people who I should not talk to, because they're not safe people, they're not good for me, they're toxic or whatever. So sometimes people like come into my DMs, and one day, this was maybe a few days after the guy followed me, so this is after the second incident that happened 2 weeks ago. A few days later, some guy that I don't really know but who DM'd me a lot, he said something super sexually explicit, and the minute I saw that in my notifications, I was so triggered, because it happened so soon after the incident. I felt so triggered, I felt so unsafe, I felt again that same suffocating claustrophobic feeling, and like, maybe for some people like that wouldn't have bothered them, but like, after having experienced what I experienced, like, it's too much, okay? And I just could not handle that. So immediately I blocked him, after telling him like, that's not okay to say, that's not appropriate to say to anyone, and I'm not comfortable with that, so goodbye. Yeah, blocked him, blocked other people, just stayed off Instagram for the rest of the day, asked my friends for prayer. But now I'm really cautious, I guess, when it comes to those interactions with guys. Yeah, no, it's never, I don't think it's okay to ever send sexually explicit things to people you don't know, and even people you do know. Please, we don't need that. We don't need that in our DMs. Slide into your own DMs and tell yourself those things, and then get out of your system, and then never think those things again, because like, who the heck asks for that stuff? No one. Send them nice wholesome memes instead. Oh, so disgusting. So that was my story. I hope that if you've watched this whole thing, that you've come out with a bigger awareness about this, that I hope that if you faced a similar situation, I really hope that you get the help that you need, that you can fully heal, and I'll be praying for you. Jesus loves you and he came to heal your brokenness, so give it to him. And also seek out the authorities, call the police, man. That's what they're here for, to protect us. So if you don't feel safe, call the police. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And thanks for watching this all the way through and listening to my story. So I will see you guys tomorrow. This was Vlogmas day 17, I believe, down, and I'll see you in day 18. Have a lovely day, guys. Bye.